Privacy, protecting our children or government gone wild. Both sides of that issue in a moment.
Talk on a cell phone while driving a vehicle. How come you can still smoke?
Out of the mouth of babes. That was Justin Cavadas, a 10-year-old who had a role in legislation introduced in Connecticut to ban smoking in cars that contain children. One of several states with similar initiatives. The first city ordinance to ban smoking in cars with minors took effect on Friday. If you are caught in Bangor, Maine, you can now be stopped and fined $50 if you're smoking in a car with a child. Is this too much government regulation or simply good public health policy? Joining me now, Patrick Reynolds, Executive Director of TobaccoFree.org, and Gary Nolan, spokesman for the Smokers Club. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Gary, I'll start with you. The advocates say children do not have rights. They need to be protected. It's no different than requiring them to be in car seats, especially with secondhand smoke and the dangers there that lie therein. What's wrong with that?
Well, in the very first place, it's built on a house of cards. The science behind, or the epidemiology that indicates secondhand smoke is dangerous, is junk science. Even federal court Judge Osteen, who's an anti-tobacco judge, looked at the EPA report and said it was junk science. At the end of the day, you're basing legislation on faulty current wisdom, and you also are inviting the police to stop people. You're giving them probable cause if the passenger in the car happens to look as though they're under 18. So I would rather devote law enforcement resources to looking for rapists and criminals than stopping people who happen to be driving with someone who looks like they might be on.
Patrick?
Well, I disagree with my colleague, Mr. Nolan. There's an overwhelming body of scientific and medical evidence proving that secondhand smoke causes lung cancer and heart disease in non-smokers who are standing by. Virtually every public health organization, the American Cancer Society, Lung Association, Heart Association, Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights, the Foundation for a Smoke-Free America, all of them agree that secondhand smoke causes lung cancer and heart disease. There are many other studies which enabled 16 states to now have banned smoking statewide in all bars and restaurants. They couldn't have done that if it was junk science. My colleague was mistaken.
Certainly they could have, Patrick. Certainly they could have, Patrick. Most of those organizations are getting their money from the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. That's Johnson & Johnson. They make an alternate nicotine delivery system, and they have invested hundreds of millions of dollars trying to convince Americans that secondhand smoke is a dangerous carcinogen. Let us not forget that OSHA refused to ban it in the workplace because the chemicals in secondhand smoke that they allege are so dangerous are in such minute quantities. I beg to differ with you, Gary. The
fact is that I believe OSHA didn't ban smoking in the workplace because they were afraid of reprisals from the Bush administration. The second largest or third largest donor to the Republican Party is Big Tobacco.
That's not even plausible.
They gave away $32 million since 1997, and 81% of that money went to Republican candidates.
Mr. Nolan, let Mr. Reynolds finish, and then you'll have your turn.
And the fact is that, let's compare Bill Clinton to President Bush. Clinton wanted a $1 a pack federal cigarette tax. Bush has walked away from that. It's still 32 cents a pack in the federal tax. Clinton wanted FDA regulation. Well, Bush walked away from that, didn't lead Congress in that direction, and Trent Lott, the former majority leader, bragged openly that for 4 years in a row, he single-handedly killed the FDA bill in committee. So there's no regulation of tobacco. Too much regulation. Gosh, we don't even have FDA regulation. Tobacco is one of the most unregulated products in the nation today.
Mr. Nolan, what about the fact, let's say that you are disputing, obviously, the secondhand smoke causes cancer argument, but certainly. I'm assuming that you're not arguing that it is not at all harmful for children to be exposed to cigarette smoke.
I would argue that good sense would dictate you not smoke in front of children, but that it is your right to smoke, and that if it is not doing harm, you should have that choice. Look, OSHA has what they call PELs, permissible exposure limits. All the chemicals in secondhand smoke that have been monitored or registered are well below, in fact, thousands of times lower than OSHA's PELs.
Gary, you are so wrong on this. You're a fount of misinformation on national television. I think it's a disgrace. There is overwhelming scientific and medical evidence accepted by the American Cancer Society, the Lung Association, so many groups in the public health community.
American Cancer Society gets money from Robert Woods Johnson Foundation.
Gentlemen, I wish I could continue this. I hope you both will come back because this issue is going before several other states, and it's something we will continue to discuss. Thank you very much, Patrick Reynolds and Gary Nolan, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Up next, most analysts not in love with the stock of